Marketing attribution is about creating a scoreboard for your marketing. At the end of the day, it's not what fancy model we trot out or how we brag about how we can do this or that technically. You shouldn't care. Are we creating a scoreboard that gives you clarity on what to do next? What's your next best step in your marketing?
Welcome to the Agents of Change, the podcast experience you've been waiting for your entire marketing career. Search, social, mobile, AI, blockchain, and neuromarketing. These are the Agents of Change, and so are you. Digital marketing success awaits, and your transformation begins now.
Welcome to another episode of the Agents of Change podcast, the podcast that's here to help you reach and engage more of your ideal customers. This is episode 601, powered by Flight New Media. If you're running a small marketing department, or if you're a marketing department of one, looking for deep expertise to help you get the job done, whether you need branding, web design, SEO, paid search, meta ads, you name it, we're built to help. We are your extended marketing team, your deep bench, ready to help you stand out, attract new audiences, and generate more leads and sales. Just give us a holler by reaching out at takeflight.com or use the Agents of Change contact form, and I'll get back to you personally. Today, we're going to be talking about attribution in marketing, which sounds like an advanced topic, but as you'll see from today's discussion, it doesn't need to be. It's just about understanding how you got the leads and business that you do so that you can continually refine and improve your marketing efforts. Let's discover how better attribution can lead you to become an agent of change. My next guest is the founder and CEO of Wicked Reports, a leading first-party marketing attribution platform for high-growth e-commerce brands. With over a decade of experience analyzing billions in ad spends, he helps marketers cut through the noise to find out what's really driving ROI. He's the creator of the 5 Forces system, proven framework that turns messy marketing data into clear, confident decisions. Before Wicked Reports, he led and consulted on database and process management applications at Motorola, Quest Diagnostics, Breck Shampoo, Ovaltine, the Hong Kong 911 department, and Apartments.com. Today, we're going to be looking at how you can better understand where your best traffic is coming from so you can get more of it with Scott Desgrosseilliers. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Rich. A little trip down memory lane, all those past clients.
I know. Sometimes as our hair starts to gray, our bios get longer and longer because we have more experience as time goes on. But so marketing attribution would be considered by many a marketer to be pretty niche-y. How did you find yourself becoming the forensic accountant of marketing?
Well, I mean, it was forensic accounting right from the get-go, actually. So I know you're up in Maine. I'm born and raised in Maine. Well, a very close friend of mine from school started a company, getmainelobster.com, to ship lobsters all over the place. And he said, hey, Facebook doesn't work for lobster. This was like 2013. And I said, why not? He said, I spent $4,000. I only made one sale for $200. I just lost my shirt. I'm never doing that again. And I was like, maybe there's just a delay in the sales. Let me find you some software I can slap on there for you. And nothing existed other than Visual IQ, which was like $250,000 a year. So we hacked together something. And lo and behold, we found that he actually broke even on his ads in a month, but he made 10 to 1 after 90 days when you accounted for Facebook traffic that later converted on email or SMS. And so that was a real eye-opener for him. And it led to Facebook becoming a multi-million-dollar channel for him. So that was my initial thing. It was just a fun data puzzle that I stitched together, and then word spread. And then I needed software because it was a pain in the ass to update all the data. And then all of a sudden I said, I think we'll start a company. Here we are.
So just so I understand, so he was actually using, he didn't know this, but the Facebook guys were warming up that audience for him. He just thought that it was money out the door. But as you further tracked that customer journey, then you could see that actually it all began with those Facebook ads.
100%. That conversion lag still exists today. People, it's just not always aware, or people still forget and have amnesia and just look at their Facebook reports and think, I ran ads. Do I have sales today? And that lag is more prevalent than ever, particularly with his data. He still has the same couple of weeks of lag till people will generally buy.
So I do have more questions for you, but I want to dig into this lobster thing and not just
Sure.
because we're up here in Maine. But when it comes to this, like, how are you figuring out what is going on behind the scenes where you can see that these Facebook people ended up buying, even though perhaps the last attribution may have been an email newsletter or just them coming back to the website in the future?
Sure. So we have the ads tagged with identifiers. It could be simple old UTMs, it could be ad ID, all sorts of different ways. And then our script captures that ID. And then we hold on to it and try to figure out who it is, all legally and only first party data. We're not tracking people off the site. We're only holding on to it for that business. And then we integrate with our clients' CRMs and shopping carts. So we're pulling in their leads and their sales along with some other information as well. And then we just kind of, as people appear in the lead and sales systems, we look back in time at all these clicks that we didn't know about and say, oh, was that them? And kind of create a timeline. And then once we have that timeline of all the activities, we can slice and dice and basically score the marketing, whatever we need to do for that particular client. So that's called first party data attribution. But back when I first did it, I tried to get a patent. I didn't end up getting it, but I just said, let's use real leads and sales because otherwise we're making it up. Now it has a fancy term.
What I like about that story is selling lobsters online is like the quintessential small business type of marketing. Yet so many small businesses think that attribution is something that's really just for enterprise size businesses, yet you've figured out how to make it work for different size companies.
Our wheelhouse right now, I mean, we have a lot of people smaller, but 3 million to 60 million in rev, D2C or e-com is our wheelhouse of what our features are designed to support. But we have B2B, we have people under a million. We have one person in San Francisco does fairy parties for kids in San Francisco area. And you can hire I don't know, Rapunzel or whatever to come. And so that's, she's doing well for that business. But I mean, that's not like a, $10 million business and up. I mean, she's doing good though. And she uses our software quite well, actually.
Nice. Now, for those people who might not completely wrap their heads around the idea of marketing attribution, how do you define it for them?
Marketing attribution is about creating a scoreboard for your marketing. At the end of the day, it's not what fancy model we trot out or how we brag about how we can do this or that technically. You shouldn't care. Are we creating a scoreboard that gives you clarity on what to do next? What's your next best step in your marketing? That's what we attempt to do. And we'll dig into how we do that and why we do the way we do it. But that's the job we're hired to do, provide clarity on decision-making for your budget.
All right. Now, when it comes to attribution, is there a one size fits all, or should we be measuring things like top, middle, and bottom of the sales funnel?
I am vehemently against one attribution model. Someone that's done 25,000 hours in this field, I think you become an expert just because of time or you're a real slow learner, one or the other. And you need your attribution model to your measurement strategy to match the marketing strategy. So your model should support what your goal was with your marketing. We call that an intention in Wicked Reports. So basically you set an intention, and that tells us a number of things. It tells us which clicks we're going to look at, which we're going to ignore, how much revenue credit we're going to give or omit, and then which primary KPIs matter, and how long the game is you're trying to play. Because everyone runs an ad, you want to be profitable day one, but that doesn't happen. But if you're trying to acquire new customers, that could take a couple weeks up to 6 months, depending on your industry, your price point, your historical. So we're setting the length of the game based on when you tell us what you're trying to do as well. So a lot of factors come from that one decision, and that allows us to create the right scoreboard so that you win.
All right. Now, if we don't have a large budget, it sounds like you have clients who definitely do, but you've also worked with clients who have smaller businesses. If we don't have a large budget, where should we focus our measurement attribution first?
Well, I'd say if we call a small budget, let's say 10 grand and under, I would say you want to stick to one channel, ideally, and because you want to get as much conversions as you can off one channel. And plus, there's enough complexity in one channel to keep you busy. So I would focus on just measuring that one channel ideally. And then it depends on your price point and also what you're marketing, what you're good at. Because if you got to a point where you're spending 10 grand a month, you've done something right in your business, probably. So if it's generating leads, then you should focus on generating leads, capturing what ad or target got them, and then going in manually and saying, okay, here's my list of lead emails. Here's my list of sale emails. Just cross-reference them and figure out, are they turning into revenue or not, greater than the 10 grand I'm spending in the time I have that they need to be profitable. That's at a nutshell what I do. Focus on one most important conversion point you're already good at, measure that, and prove that you can have progress in your paid channel that way.
All right. Now, I mentioned in your intro that you've developed this 5 forces framework, which is fun to say, but what is it and how does it guide the work?
So the idea around that scoreboard for marketing is, traditionally in marketing attribution, you go in, you pick multiple attribution models, and you're going to look at the data different. And then each model has its own trends. And then you've got, a couple hundred columns, and you got to figure out which ones you should care about and which ones you should ignore. And I realized that it wasn't hard for me because I've been doing it a lot, and solving puzzles with data is what I was like, put on earth to do. But I was like, I created a system for myself because that's not going to work. And so the 5 forces framework, we were training up our AI to analyze for people so that they could just say, AI, go follow, here's some inputs, go figure it out for me, give it a framework. And that's how the 5 forces got developed. It was like, okay, what's the minimum we can ask from our customers that allow us to always measure correctly, diagnose and improve if they need to, or identify where they should scale, and distill marketing, all our attribution, down to a 1 word of advice: scale, kill, or chill.
All right. Now, what risks do we run if we're only measuring things like lead volume, if we're not actually connecting this to actual revenue?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, when you don't have visibility into revenue or quality of the lead, you're gonna be attracted to volume like a fly through a light. Because you say, oh, look, I got 50 leads for $100 here, and I only got 10 here. Why do I want more leads? But those 10 leads, I want you to consider something like it's an auction. So the most valuable people might be the ones that, let's just say, have the most income according to Facebook. And therefore, they're off making that income. So they're not on Facebook limited time. And everyone under the sun is trying to bid on them. So the prices are going to be higher, both to get a click, to get their impression, and to convert them. Busy, successful, wealthy people. I'm stereotyping, but it makes the point. So they're therefore going to cost more to get and harder to convert. But you get those 10 juicy leads, and maybe like 3 of them turn into high value customers. So then if you have that revenue visibility, you're actually going to want to spend more on the Glengarry leads, the good leads, rather than the cheap leads, because cheap leads could be people that are just on Facebook all day, instead of working, and maybe are not in a position to buy your product for whatever reason, unfortunately.
All right. So you talked a little bit about attribution models, and I'm just wondering, like, I've heard things over the years that some people pay attention to only the first touch point or the last touch point. And then Google at some point had this thing where they would literally split up the pie into a million different pieces to show you and weigh each attribution. How much of this do we need to be worried about? Or do you have a recommended model that kind of drives your decision making?
All right. So the 5 forces, you and ours, we pick the model based on what you're trying to do. We match the measurement strategy to the marketing strategy of the campaign. Just one brief example, if you want to acquire new customers is the primary goal. To that, as an attribution platform, it means segment new customer behavior from repeat and only look at the new. And then it means NCAC, new customer acquisition cost, is likely the North Star. So we want to keep an eye on that and keep it within the range that you give us. And then it means a longer, not a 7-day, probably a 30-day cycle that we're going to want to measure the results to give your campaign enough time to actually convert the people because they're new. And we're going to look at the conversion rate of just prospects that aren't customers and how well they convert, and compare it against similar of the past to determine if you're doing better or worse than usual. So I've never been an advocate of the one magical model. It's the one that you need for what you're trying to do. If you're a small advertiser and you're just trying to get leads, you do the new lead, either the new lead attribution model or the any lead attribution model, which means I'm going to take my cost per lead. I'm going to look and see how much they make and hope that the earning per lead is higher than the cost per lead. And if so, I keep doing it. In a nutshell, I mean, there's more sophistication in diagnosing and improving that, but at its simplest level, you do lead-based attribution as a starting point if you were a small brand, because it's achievable with the tools you have.
All right. And when you approach a client who is e-commerce versus lead gen or vice versa, do you start with a certain model in mind, or is it that e-commerce is just always going to be a faster or quicker process? How does that all work?
All of our customers usually are attracted to us through our ability to connect top of funnel cold traffic prospecting to revenue. So they need that model around cold traffic, that particular attribution model. And then everyone always wants to know, I just got sales today. How'd they happen? That's a pure traditional last click. And then there's the overall, I'm doing a weekly review. Just how am I doing in a nutshell, which is the multi-touch model. So we generally have those three default auto created in the account, and they just start there and then tune them up as they get more sophisticated.
So it's hard to have a conversation around marketing without talking about AI. It's just changing so many aspects of marketing. How is it impacting attribution, and has it changed your workflow or your software at all? I mean, I know you've got AI in your tools, so I guess it must be.
It is. So AI, well, negatively impacting sums, positively impacting us is when you use AI to infer or make up conversion data. That's pleasant for us because I've seen some people do that, and then we get defectors. So AI hasn't figured out how to guesstimate conversions yet. So that's where I've seen a negative impact on some. Positively, it can, if you build it the right way, it will consistently, methodically measure things correctly. So we spent a year for our AI products. By the time this airs, it's out in wide release, where it stays within these guardrails we've created, because AI likes to show off in our experience, it likes to show off how smart it thinks it is. It likes to ad lib. It doesn't like to be consistent, which can be really cool for creating copy or slides. But when it's data, you want it boring. You want to say, just call X does equal X every time. And so that took a long time to get it governed in a way we could trust that it would run the Five Forces system for us. But now that it does, it's saving people what would be 2 hours of analysis a day. Because if you were going to do it, and some clients would do that and love it, but other people are like, hey, I'm busy, man. I'm a marketer. I don't want to spend 2 hours a day in there. And that's fine. You don't have to now. It'll just run it and tell you how I would measure it. Me and my team, we spent painstaking amount of time getting it so we could sleep at night. No one was telling people the right thing to do. So it's a tremendous time saver now.
All right. What are some of the ways that even small businesses can experiment with AI to improve their measurement?
See, I'm not sure, because the way that I first started to course around with AI, I think it was last March, was we'd upload CSVs of our data and see how good AI could handle it. And it got tantalizingly so-so. It would seem beautiful, but then I'd be like, wait a minute, it would make up campaign names, hallucinate, it's called. It would make up campaign names. It would reference data points that weren't true. And it doesn't understand time. It just doesn't get it. It's the strangest thing. We've built in our AI to understand the passage of time. It would not understand it. So, for example, it would tell you, scale this. So you raise the budget, and then the next day, because you raised the budget and there haven't been enough more conversions, it would say, kill it. You'd be like, you just told me to scale it yesterday. A lot of that would happen. Or it didn't understand if you turned something off, it would think it was on. So I don't know I wouldn't trust giving a recommendation to use it for measurement without a lot of testing, because we know what we're doing here. We had people doing it around the clock, and we had an AI engineering firm we were paying to help us for a long time, and it took all of us 9 months till we were happy.
All right.
I don't feel safe with that. It's a nice question, but I don't feel safe recommending something.
Makes sense. What are some of the consistent mistakes that you see business owners, whether they be e-commerce, lead gen, making when it comes to their marketing attribution?
I think the biggest one is not matching the measurement to the strategy. That's the gaping hole. And marketers probably didn't think a lot of a measurement strategy. They just thought, first, oh, hey, the platform's going to measure it for me. Then they realize, oh, crap, I need an unbiased party. Then they get the unbiased view and like, wait, what do I do with all these models? When do I use this, that, the other one? And trying to find that one holy grail attribution model. I was a victim of that for a while early in my career before I realized that it's like a tool set. You got a job to do around your house. You need a tool. You go get the tool and use it. Well, the attribution models is a set of tools, and you got to use the right one for the right job.
All right. Now, what is one perspective you have on attribution that might surprise people or might be contrary to what other marketers believe?
I hate survey data. People use survey data and say, oh, it's great. It fills in the gaps of attribution. I love when our competitors throw in survey data because then the data's crap. You're telling me I barely know what I did 2 days ago. You're telling me a month ago, I can recall, oh, I saw a Pinterest ad or a Face Meta video, and that's why did anything today? And does a 30 days ago ad impression have anything to do with what I did today? It doesn't. Just doesn't. I mean, I guess maybe if it was like some cute pain I had, like I was trying to cure some ailment or I was going to die. And then I saw an ad, but I wouldn't have waited 30 days. I would have done it the same day. So I like that because the idea and the concept makes total sense. Oh, well, there's some view through attribution we're going to capture. But what happens is that in hindsight, it's a bottom funnel thing that's fuzzy at best. And it just, it skews all that nice data you have. And then, so I don't like survey data in.
I'm just thinking about every time I go to YouTube and it says, which of these brands have you seen here from the last 30 days? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I skip over everything anyways. I've got blinders on. So I think you're right on that one.
Well, it's also signals. Like attribution, we're trying to give you the most accurate signal. And the most accurate signal is one we can prove because you took the time to click. That's a stronger signal than some vague memory. So even if there's like some percentage of direct that people would have recalled in a survey that you could have pivoted to Facebook, I don't trust it. It's not a good enough signal, in my opinion. So, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the purpose of
There's enough noise to question the signal. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. If I wanted to take one step this week to improve my attribution measurement, what would you recommend I start with?
As a small business, if you weren't going to use Wicked Reports, I would say start with lead attribution because that's a strong signal. They're willing to hear more from you. Because everyone gets attacked with retargeting ads, email. It's annoying. Like I'm zero inbox, so I'm ruthless on subscriber. But that's a big signal. The unconverted leads, they were willing to opt into their email. Optimize and start tracking where those leads came from and did they turn into revenue. That alone will be a big aha moment that'll lead you down to all sorts of other epiphanies, hopefully.
Awesome. Scott, for people who want to learn more about you, want to learn more about Wicked Reports, where can we send them?
Well, wickedreports.com is the best place for Wicked Reports. Fiveforces.com if you want to see more about the framework. There's a bunch of stuff on there. And, I'm on LinkedIn a lot, so just find me there.
Awesome. And Wicked Reports has nothing to do with evil, right? It's because you're a New England boy. Born and bred.
I was like, I don't want to just have good reports. They got to be wicked, like Humpty Dumpty.
They got to be wicked.
Chips. My brother was working for Humpty Dumpty once. My dad was a chip guy growing up, so it was wicked good. Yeah.
Wicked. Well, this has been a wicked good interview, and I've learned a wicked lot. So thank you, Scott. Appreciate your time.
That's high praise from a Mainer. Thanks, Rich.
There was a lot to digest from what Scott shared with us. If you need a refresher, you can visit our website at theagentsofchange.com/600, where you can re-listen to the episode. You can check out the full transcript. You can read the blog post about everything I learned from my conversation with Scott, and even check out all the links that he shared with us. My big takeaway from this week's interview is that even small businesses can benefit from attribution. From lobster companies to ferry party planners to your own business, you can discover hidden revenue streams through better attribution. Your breakthrough moment could be one measurement away. So start today and become an agent of change.
Don't miss another thrilling episode of the Agents of Change podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.